Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of the series of videos on how to construct and administer a questionnaire for research. In case you missed part 1, the link to that video is in the description section below. You may go and click on it and watch the first part. However, I will provide you a quick recap of part 1 before I start with part 2 today. In part 1, I provided 6 tips. I did so because I wanted to keep the video short and engaging. The 6 tips in summary were: keep it short, that is, keep your questionnaire short, keep the respondent's task simple and easy, provide straightforward and specific instructions to your respondents, use simple, clear, unambiguous language, give rationale for any items whose purpose may be unclear, and check for unwarranted assumptions implicit in your questions. I gave examples to explain each of these tips. In today's video, I will put forward the remaining 6 tips which will help you to construct and administer a questionnaire that will elicit the required data from your respondents. Let's get started. Tip number 7. Word your question in ways that don't give clues about preferred or more desirable responses. So that means don't lead the respondents towards the desired responses. Let's take an example. Let's say you are asking, what strategies have you tried to quit smoking? By implying that the respondent has in fact tried to quit, it may lead the respondent to describe strategies that have never been seriously tried at all. So you are kind of leading the respondent. Determine in advance how you will code the responses. This is also a very important part of designing your questionnaire. As you write your questions, perhaps even before you write them, develop a plan for recoding participants' responses into numerical data that you can statistically analyze using a software. That could be a SPSS or it could be Excel. Now, data processing procedures may also dictate the form a questionnaire should take. If, for example, people's response sheets will be fed into a computer scanner, the questionnaire must be structured differently than if the responses will be tabulated using paper and pencil. You can see an example of computer scanned answer sheet on your screen right now. Tip number 9, check for consistency. When a questionnaire asks questions about a potentially controversial topic, some respondents might give answers that are socially acceptable rather than accurate in order to present a favorable impression. To allow for this possibility, you may want to ask the same question 2 or more times using different words each time at various points in your questionnaire. So you see the example here on your screen. Consider the following items appearing in questionnaire as items 2 and question number 28. Their distance from each other increases the likelihood that a person will answer the second without recalling how he or she answered the first. So make sure that you keep a gap between the two questions that are eliciting information about the same item. So notice how the individual has answered them. Question number 2, he or she has answered that in his or her thinking, she's a liberal. And question number 28, he or she has answered that she doesn't want to be the first one to try a new idea and doesn't want to be the last either. Now the two responses are inconsistent. In the first, the respondent claims to be a liberal thinker. But later, when given liberal and conservative positions in other forms, the respondent indicates a position generally thought to be more conservative than liberal. Such an inconsistency might lead you to question whether the respondent really is a liberal thinker or only wants to be seen as one. Let's take another example. When developing a questionnaire, researchers sometimes include several items designed to assess essentially the same characteristic. This approach is especially common in studies that involve personality characteristics such as motivation, attitudes, other complex psychological traits. Alright, so for example, in this question you can see it was trying to explore the teaching effectiveness of college education majors who were completing their teaching internship year. Now the research team speculated that one factor potentially affecting teaching effectiveness was willingness to try new teaching techniques and in other ways take reasonable risks in the classroom. So the research team developed 8 items to assess risk taking. Here are 4 of those questions that you see on your screen. Notice how a response of very true to items 16 and 51 would be indicative of a high risk taker, whereas a response of very true to items number 11 and 39 would be indicative of a low risk taker. Now, such counterbalancing of items, some reflecting a high level of a characteristics and other reflecting a low level of the characteristics, can help address some people's general tendency to agree or disagree with a great many statements, including even contradictory ones. So when several items assess the same characteristics and when the response can reasonably be presumed to reflect an interval rather than an ordinal measurement scale, responses to those items might be combined into a single score. Especially when multiple items are created to assess a single characteristic, a good researcher mathematically determines the degree to which overall participants' responses to those items are consistent. For instance, the extent to which a person's response to all risk-taking items yield similar results. Essentially, the researcher is determining the internal consistency reliability of the set of the items. Most statistical software packages can easily compute internal consistency reliability coefficients for you. Tip number 10. Conduct one or more pilot tests to determine the validity of your questionnaire. Even experienced researchers conduct test runs of newly designed questionnaires to make sure that questions are clear and will effectively solicit the desired information. At a minimum, you should give your questionnaire to several friends or colleagues to see whether they have difficulty understanding any items. Have them actually fill out the questionnaire. Better still, ask your pilot test participants what thoughts run into their minds as they read a question. What is this question trying to find? Which answer would they choose as the right answer? Through such strategies, you can see the kind of responses you are likely to get and make sure that in your actual study, the responses you obtain will be of sufficient quality to help you answer your research question. If your research project will include participants of both genders and various cultural backgrounds, be sure to include a diverse sample in your pilot test as well. Gender and culture do play a role in people's response to certain types of questionnaire items. For instance, some researchers have found a tendency for males to play up their strengths and overrate their abilities, whereas females are apt to focus more on their weaknesses and underrate their abilities. People from Asian cultures are more likely to downplay their abilities than people from Western cultures. Conducting a pilot study for a questionnaire and especially asking participants what they are thinking as they read and respond to a particular item is one step towards determining whether a questionnaire has validity for its purpose. In other words, whether it truly measures what it is intended to measure. Some academic disciplines like psychology insist that a researcher uses more formal and objective strategies to determine a questionnaires validity, especially when the questionnaire is intended to measure complex psychological traits such as personality, motivation, attitudes. Tip number 11. Scrutinize the almost final product one more time to make sure it addresses your needs. Item by item, a questionnaire should be quality tested and again for precision, objectivity, relevance, and probability of favorable reception in return. Have you concentrated on the recipient of the questionnaire, putting yourself in the place of someone who's being asked to invest time on your behalf? If you received such a questionnaire from a stranger, would you agree to complete it? These questions are important and should be answered impartially. Finally, make the questionnaire attractive and professional looking. Your final instrument should have clean lines, crystal clear printing, certainly no typos, and perhaps 2 or more colors. It should ultimately communicate that its author is careful, well-organized professional who takes his or her work seriously and has high regard for the research participants. Before I go, make sure when you are assessing item by item and question by question, ask yourself for each question, why are you asking the question? How does it relate to your research problem and how does it help you to answer your research question? And that will help you to filter the questions better. Take your time. Do not be in a rush to construct the questionnaire. I know when the time comes for constructing the questionnaire, the students do rush through. In my experience, that is a very critical stage because that might help you with your research or delay the progress. So make sure you construct the correct questionnaire, get the right number of questions, talk to as many people as you can who are experienced and who can guide you, and you will get there. So thank you for watching this video, guys. You can find the link to part 1 in the description section below. Let me know after you watch both the videos if I have missed any important tip. Do you want to share an important tip with the viewers? Because at the end of the day, the objective of making these videos is to learn from one another making sure that we avoid making serious mistakes in our research journey. See you, and I'll see you soon with my next video. Bye.